Hello everyone. Today topic is EMI/EMC, and this is the continuation video of introduction part 1. And if you have not seen the first part, I'll request you to please go to the first part for better understanding. And if you wanted to go to later time, that also is okay. I'll try to give you some brief introduction what we have discussed in the part 1. So basically the purpose of this all the two videos, part 1 and part 2, to give whatever I have learned from last 22 year of my experience. So if you wanted to be design international level product, a very high standard product, so I request you to please complete this video from starting to ending. That will be definitely, I can promise, the lot of things you're going to learn from this. And if you implement all the things whatever I learned today, your product will be the very high standard. So let's begin that. So I would like to start with the examples. The guy is drilling using the drilling machine a wall, and another guy is getting disturbance on his TV. So basically the disturbance is happening to the common outlet because we are generally using 230 volt across our neighbor's house, even apartments. So it is possible it will be pass that noise through the wire. That's nothing but a conducted emission. And another guy who is talking over phone, he's getting a disturbance from the same. That is nothing but radiated emission. So it means whatever going to be discussed is, today is like electromagnetic susceptibility. Means even though intentionally we have given the produce some kind of emission by external source, your devices it should not get disturbed, and he should produce his inherent performance basically. So this guy is also, he was got disturbed, he should also not get disturbed, then only your product is very good. So today I would we discuss here what is the conducted immunity, what is radiated immunity, ESD, EFT, surge, magnetic field, and voltage dependent short interruption. So this is all, if you are seeing that almost 7 different type of noise or different type of voltages, a different type of electromagnetic interference we are trying to create, and see that your device is sustain this or not. It is pass or fail or not. So in this case, you will see that if your device is not able to sustain, it will fail. So let's first understand what is the. So how we'll decide is pass or fail. The performance of your product usually falls into category A, B, C, and D. But this is dependent on the standard that apply to your product. The definition below are taken from the European Generic Immunity Standards for Residential, Commercial and Light Industrial Environments, basically EN 6100-6-1. So what criteria is talk about? Criteria is telling that means your product perform normally and within the specification that you specify. Means all the 7 crucial tests is pass without showing any degradation. It means your product is best. If it is falls under B, means the product may have a temporary loss of function or degradation of performance, so that the test finishes, the equipment recover its normal performance without any operator intervention. Let's consider your system is some kind of a test is completed and gone to the some kind of a reset mode, and you had a watchdog timer and it's recover again. So but you did not go and switch on and switch off the machine, that will come under class B. And then criteria C is the same as B, but your machine is completely switched off, power off, and then you went and power on. Or you have some seen that you need to be have a press the reset button to recover entire things. That comes under criteria C. So and next is criteria D. Is that there is a loss of function or complete degradation of a performance which is not recoverable, or completely damage of hardware, or software, or you lost the what the data it was available on that. So if we taking criteria A, criteria B, criteria C, and criteria D, it means D is failed, means your test is failed. You will not, your device is not EMC compliant. And if it is criteria C, it means a good, depends upon the as per your standards, but it is considered is good. If it is B is better, and if your class A is the best. So here we'll talk about conducted immunity. So last time you have seen conducted emission, means that time what is happening, what your unit under test is making a noise or emission to the power supply source. So here is just opposite to that, means if a power supply source is giving lot of emission, and our your product that is under test is going to be getting affect. So to create a scene, okay, you have a very bad power outlet, uh, wherever you have connected your unit under test. So to simulate that, they are using a RF power amplifier, okay, and with the RF signal generator. So this RF signal generator will give the different frequency, and the output will be going to the injection clamp, and we'll measure it same by measuring clamp, RF power meter or spectrum analyzer, and give it to the feedback of this, and we'll monitor is there any degradation in your UT. We're not monitoring anything. We'll only see that whatever your functional performance has to become, it is achieving in the entire duration of the test. So similarly, the big picture I can show you to here, where we are injecting probe from the RF power amplifier, and we are monitoring probe from the labeling, how much you are passing through that. But basically everything judged by your functional performance monitoring. If you are degrading any functional or performance monitor, either it will fall into category A, B, C, and D. That will be the passing and fail criteria of your conducted immunity. Okay, so you have understood this is they are using the disturbance. Basically, they are passing the disturbance to the transducer. So if you have might have seen in the some of the labs, generally you will find these are the equipments: signal generator, RF power amplifier, transducer, current monitor probes, attenuator, and automation software. So and also you have observed some of the USB cables is having the ferrite already ferrite cores, that is putting it both side of your cables, either type A, type B, or type C, type D, whatever kind of you have, you will find that there is a ferrite core over here. And suppose you wanted to be used in your design, so I'll request you to, if is molded cable, it will be costly until unless the high volume is required. You can use the ferrite core clamp core material, easily available in a lot of manufacturers. And what I want to share my experience when I was going through this conducted immunity test, and I find it's very hard to pass this. And some of the common issue I have listed here is that audible rectification of the 1 kilohertz modulation frequency generates happen, measuring errors due to supply or signal ripples, and resetting of ICs. So if anything is happening in your devices, you have to improve, and you make sure your design had to be improved from all the requirements. So maybe in the coming videos, I will be bringing you the each conducted immunity, relative immunity, how you take care of in your design. Okay, so I request you to please subscribe, so that whenever I will keep uploading the video regarding all these details, whatever you want it to be, and that you can able to see the first. Next, we talk about the radiated immunity. Okay, so we have, you might be remember in the introduction part one, we are talking about radiated emission. So almost the setup, everything will be remain same. Okay, so that time we will be measuring how much emitting your device. This time we will emit, means because test lab will emit the noise, and you will see that what is the performance of device. So basically, if you see, there are if you are using in our day-to-day life, any device, whatever you, no matter what, it will be see lot of electrical field disturbance. In case, let's consider I am using in a home home appliances. If you see that mixer grinder using some refrigerator, then you have a electronic equipment, laptop, mobiles. So these are everyone will be emit in different level of frequency and level of electromagnetic waves, and that you should not disturb by getting disturbed your devices. So this test is intended to see performance when device is subjected to an electric field of a specified amplitude. Generally, it is measured in volt per meter. The 1 volt per meter, 3 volt per meter, and 10 volt per meter. If it depends upon a standard. If it is very high, then like military and automotive, then they will give 200 volt per meter. So generally, it will be signal generator feeds a modulated sine wave to a broadband RF power amplifier. The output of the amplifier is connected to the transducer, nothing but a antenna, which turns the varying conducted voltage into varying radiated electric field. So if you have, sometimes you have, might have observed in the some of the labs, you will see this is the complete anechoic chambers, then antennas, then synthesizer, then these two are C1 and C2 are the power amplifier. Then is the field sensor and software for your PC, and switching unit means you have on off something you have to be, you start the test and end the test. So similar performance here also you have to watch. Basically you have to see the devices, any performance degradation happening or not, any data loss is happening or not. If anything is happening means you have, they will we will record the result and mention as a class A, class B, class C and class D, and if it is gone to class D means it is failed. So typical frequency range will be 80 megahertz to 1 gigahertz, okay, and 1.4 to 2 gigahertz, but generally machine whatever you're using may be very high, but up to 6 gigahertz of synthesizer, and amplifier maybe go to up to 1 gigahertz to 6 gigahertz, or 80 megahertz to up to 80 to 1 megahertz. And lot of standards, they will have the different frequency band. So you have to go through the entire your device has to go through the entire band of frequency with the different volt per meter. So what could fail in relative immunity? So in rated electrical fields are most effect on external cabling. So whatever as LCD cabling or any other cablings you have, this is most effective. At low frequency, cable of length of 1 to 3 meter can act as a effective receiving antennas. So those it will be your antenna, and it will be start receiving the data from the emitter, basically the other devices. So at the higher frequency, so lower frequency, you think that cable will be become antenna, but at higher frequency, your traces on your PCB begins to become more effective at receiving energy from electric fields. The field can induce the voltage on both analog and data signal. So you can imagine that lot of issue can arise. So hereof, I'm going to mention some of the issue what I faced during testing. I got measurement error. Suppose thermal measurement I was doing it, it should be show ambient temperature of 25 degrees C. It is showing something else. Then you have a wireless unit, they were having wireless interference, and we have 1 kilohertz audio and data logic errors too. The next is very crucial test, ESD, electrostatic discharge. And I can say this is the worst experience I have seen in this, but thanks to the new technology, the new manufacturers, they have come up with the very good devices to protect yeah, our equipment from the ESD, because this is very practical. We have seen many times, even practically I have seen, if I'm touching any metallic enclosure, I'm getting a shock. That's nothing but ESD in action. So you got ESD shock. we'll see there is no electrical connection. There is a completely only enclosure is there, but still I'm getting a shock. So what happens? Your body accumulates a large voltage when you touch the metallic enclosure. This voltage difference of sometimes is very high kV, cause a spark of arc between you and metallic enclosure. And you, if you see that if you go to the manufacturing data sheet, they will always say, okay, if you are doing any PCB assembly, please use the ESD belt, ESD protection, all the things. Even your circuit has to be inbuilt the ESD protection design. So if I talk about why this needed, so it's needed because it is common trend. Everybody use their hand to touch the product. So ESD will apply all the location where there is chance human can touch. And because of your human touch, the device is getting bad. And level is very critical. You cannot imagine they will test up to plus and minus 8 kV in contact and plus minus 15 kV in air. And this also I'm talking about the some range, but it is if you go to very high standards, very high sophisticated product, that range can go more than that. So if you see the setup over here, so there will be like some points, some metallic point they will put it to the air, means generally they will do it, and only plastic parts anything they will do with the contacts. And then they will go for different levels, means they will not like immediately they will apply for all the 8 kV in the contact discharge. They will be giving you first 2 kV, then again they will give all the points, means basically 2 kV giving with not single point they will select, single all the points they will select where human touch is possible. So they will do 2 kV and all the points whatever they have decided, let's consider 10 points. So all the 10 points they will do it. Then they go to the level 2. Then again they will repeat the entire experiment for the 4 kV. Similar for 6 kV, and then same process they will follow all the 10 points whatever they have the contact discharge up to 8 kV. And if it is a higher requirement as per the standard, they can go beyond than that. Then again similar air discharge also they will be having this step by step. They will also locate where are have to give the like plastic parts or something. There is no physical contact, a physical metallic piece. There will be giving you always like step by step, like 2 kV first, and then all the 10 points they will measure, and they will go for 4, then go for 8, and they go for 15, and if required the standard then go for the beyond than that. So, what are some failures modes? I can say it's a destructive. My experience says it's a destructive, basically. And we plan, whenever we plan for the labs or labs bookings, so we'll try to keep this test at the last. Because we know there is a most of the devices will fail in ESD. Some point until unless you have taken care of in your design, and it's very hard to pass. Because the short burst of high energy can cause lot of issue with your device if you don't have adequate grounding and protection. So some of the issue I'm going to be listed over here, like I'm getting the resetting complete system reset, I see port got damaged, I see communication is failure, LCD completely damaged, memory corruption, digital logic error, and there will be some recommendation what I would like to give it to my new designers. So there are various options available for ESD protection. So you have a multi-layer varistor, SCR diodes, TVS avalanche diode, and polymer device for ESD suppression. So please look into that. Wherever you have finding, okay, human touch is possible, please incorporate these other devices where is required. Next is the similar, means there is no much difference I can say from ESD to EFT. Okay, but here you will give the burst of transit is done with the simulating platforms. Okay, so what does it happen basically? If you might have observed when you are switching any kind of inductive load, one will be like your high current devices, geysers of if you switch on, and you will see the some spark near the switches. Even if you switch on of your microwave oven, or if you switch on motors, especially mixture grinder at home, you will find some spark we have seen in switches. So what does it is? Nothing but this is not electrical transient, EFT, and that will pass to the your devices. So this test we have to be make assured that if you are getting some kind of a inductive switching in nearby switch, and that is passing to your device has to be sustain that. Your device should not degrade his performance. Okay, so all the tested of I'm talking about susceptibility, it means it has to be sustained, and it has to be whatever inherent properties or inherent performance had to be performed. Okay, so for some examples, if you see that once you toggling electric switch nearby is having the loaded with the electrics motors, bundle cables can have a capacitively coupled disturbance from switch load other cables if you like motor, relays and fluorescent lamp ballast. So these are the things most likely to be produce the electrical fast transient. Okay, so EFT transient is EMC immunity test, so the disturbance happens very quickly. So this test is having a burst of pulses. Okay, like very high pulses will be there, but is having some duration in time gap. Okay, so but rise time of EFT is very high, around 5 nanoseconds. If you see that the complete rise time is here is around 5 nanosecond with plus minus 30%. And width of the pulse means complete width, if you see here to here, total width around 50 nanoseconds. So rise time will be 5 nanosecond to 50 nanosecond, and having different patterns depends upon the standards. Means they have the multiple and they're having some gaps, then stop, there is no pulses, again a lot of multiples fast transient pulses, and then again stop. So if you zoom that, you will getting the similar, and further zoom you will get that this waveforms. So this delay in between the pulses and all the things will be designed by the standards. So where will EFT be applied to your products? There are a couple of injection point of method of EFT. The first and most common is via an AC power cables, because I explained that this transmit basically the ones you have switch on any inductive loads, then you have very electric pulses will generate, that is going to your device. So a tester who is the testing your devices, he will must apply the EFT across your AC power card. So if you even if you have using external AC/DC power adapter, AMC lab will most likely still inject EFD pulses onto line electrical wires. So it's what my experience of last 22 years. I have seen that unit under test is resets. Some of the IC have seen failure, and some of the auxiliary equipment got failed. Communication lines dropped out, and some temporary analog measurement errors I started getting it. So this is also a test. Is very you can crucial for our EMC compliance. Next is surge. So if you think about why I have given the ESD and I've given EFT, then what is the surge? So if your ESD and EFT have a similar rise time, almost similar pulse width and energy level, however the surge is rise time of the pulse is very slow. Means what was it was happening in nanosecond, now it is happening in microseconds, and duration is also much longer, it's around 50 microseconds. So how these are the events is happening? Suppose fuse blown, it's like a kind of a suddenly blown up the fuse, then the surge will occur. And the nearby lightning strikes is something is happening, then also the surge will occur. So if you are a product if plugged into residential AC power socket, can expect to 3 into 6 kV power surges per year. Means that much power surges your equipment will be seen if it is kept continuously put in the AC power socket. And what are the how they will do the test? They will be having decoupling network and surge module, and this surge module will be like some 2 ohm and 18 microfarad in series of complete source impedance, and that will be applied in line a neutral. And you have to keep the decoupling network so that usually it's contained inside the immunity test system along with a decoupling network, which helps to protect the power supply or auxiliary equipment. So in this, what are the failure modes? So surge basically involves a lot of energy. The current involves can easily exceed more than 100 ampere for a short period of time. With this amount of energy, it is very easy to damage of your product. So during my testing, whenever I was using it for my devices, I have seen that complete frying the ICs. Sometimes cable breakdowns. We have seen the thermal issue is gone to the some different temperature, and arcing is very common. And if you have motor kind of devices, we have seen the damage of a motor winding. So what will be my recommendation for the new designer? Use power supply with surge protection of correct rating, or you can select directly if you see marked and you have the rating is right rating you have connected, you will be mostly you will not find any problem. And best way to recently lot of TVS diodes MOVs are available, so that will take care of your search. So find out the right diodes, TVS diodes and MOVs. And the location and routing of protection circuitry is critical to its effectiveness. Means you cannot put anywhere TVS diode and that will protect. Anywhere MOV if you put, that will not protect. So maybe coming up with the next video, I will be explaining you very complete detail about the how to you uh, protect from the surge or ESD or any kind of immunity test what they do it in complete scenario. Next is magnetic field testing. So magnetic field is present everywhere. So how to make sure okay, any magnetic field and your device is come across that, it should not degrade his performance. And so magnetic fields are present at lower frequencies and measured are usually made with a large loop antenna, and that is placed very close to UT. You can see this test setup which is taken from the professional audio product family standard is EN55103. So how to do this test? This is the variac. You can vary the voltage, and that voltage will vary the current in the H field antenna, that is the transducer, and therefore set the magnetic field strength measured in an amps per meter. The antenna just a loop, just you see that just a loop of electrical wires, and varying current through this loop generates a magnetic field. And if after entering magnetic field you see that UT is inside, and we have to observe to any degradation, anything is misbehaving with this. But my personal experience says I am faced very less issue in this kind of testing, until unless I am using more over the magnetic devices or some kind of a using the magnetic things to be some other jobs to do that. So if you are using some kind of a relay, CRT monitors, and some kind of Hall effect sensor, electrodynamic microphones, and magnetic field sensors, so this will be get affected. But most likely I have seen very less failure because of magnetic field, and very old time when CRT monitor something that is more against magnetic field behavior. So now you will may see or may not see, but chances of getting it very less. So what will my recommendation that if you have come across, you find out the what is the magnetic shielding materials available, and you can protect your any devices of similar kind of a magnetics. So this is the last, I think the seventh one, and this is the voltage dips, drop, and interruption. That is IEC EN61000-4-11-29. So what happens generally in this test? If you see that there will be always sometimes voltage dips, drops due to some disturbance in your power supply. So in this test is simulate the voltage dips and short brownout, means this power gone for some time of duration, either AC or DC power supply. It helps to ensure that equipment function properly or as expected and safely with the power supply fluctuation. Means it should come either under A, B and C criteria. It should not go to completely D criteria. If you go to D criteria, it will be fail. So the how the setup works. So generally they will having auto transformer. So that will be you can have a multiple windings of taps basically, and it will be like some 40%, 70%, 60%, and 100%. You can select the voltage, and you will and the after selecting this voltage, you will be select how much duration I should give for the this one. If I am giving the 30% deep for 10 milliseconds, so this simulator will make that deep 30%. If test requirement will be okay, your deep for 60%, so means suppose voltage 100 volt, it will be go to the 40 volt, and how much duration you want? Okay, 100 milliseconds. So during this test, we have seen some of the my powers are getting off completely. Device will be off, and we require a manual intervention. Okay, we have to go and switch on the machine. That's possibility. But after manual intervention, manual operator intervention, your device has to be power on. Or if you have some data collection, suppose you have some medical equipment or other things, you are collecting the data, you should not lose after power up. Means you during power up, you have a soft shutdown. Okay, so how to make this thing to be done? What will my recommendation will be here? So make sure your watchdog timer works properly. Ensure the system reboots into acceptable mode when the device resets. Okay, so these are the all whatever you have seen that is these are basically immunity test. Means this design complete test based on the our where we are going to use the product. Suppose industrial like A type this one, then we have to complete the system will be designed industrial environment. If you are using in home or some kind of a controlled environment, then B type will be having the different set of test specification. That's all from my side. Thanks for watching this video. I have only mission to share my experience to all. I request to share this video in all social media platforms like WhatsApp, Facebook, LinkedIn to make reach to everyone. Please write comment for any feedback and queries. It will help us to learn from each other. If you got any benefit from this video, please hit the like button. This will motivate me to make more videos. I hope you would have subscribed this channel. Please hit the bell icon to get notification of my next video. I am promising you this channel will help you to grow in your dream career. Thanks once again.